evening and welcome to Biz RoundUp. I'm Tamiru Nimsat and we at our television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. Central Bank of Sri Lanka releases the Financial Stability Review for the year 2024. Bribery Commission has expedited action on cases of alleged corruption. Subject Minister sees. Ceylon Chamber tries to enhance trade ties with Indonesia. News in detail. The Central Bank has released its Financial Stability Review for 2024, providing an assessment of Sri Lanka's financial system, including associated vulnerabilities and the measures taken by regulatory authorities to maintain stability. The report, released under the Central Bank of Sri Lanka Act No. 16 of 2023, covers data up to June 2024 with additional updates on key developments.
The review presents a cautiously optimistic outlook for the financial system, projecting improvements in asset quality and capital buffers as the economy stabilizes and advances amid ongoing challenges. The CBSL emphasized that while the 2022 crisis caused severe macroeconomic imbalances, these are gradually being corrected through policy measures, reforms and changes in economic behavior. As credit expansion shifts towards the private sector, financial institutions will need to manage pressure on credit quality and capital adequacy. Elevated non-performing loan ratios and limits on large exposures add complexity. Lower deposit rates and downward pressures on lending rates could affect the profitability of financial institutions by narrowing their net interest margins. Financial institutions' significant investment in government securities has provided returns in the past, but these returns are expected to subside, requiring cautious management for further sovereign debt exposure. Delays in addressing certain sovereign debt obligations and suppression of import demand require careful handling to safeguard financial stability. However, the finalization of external debt restructuring would open avenues for accessing more external financial resources, supporting long-term financial stability.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake has emphasized the urgent need for a sustainable solution to address the recurring flooding in Sri Lanka. The President's remarks came during a high-level discussion held at the Presidential Office with officials from the Ministry of Disaster Management and the Ministry of Finance earlier this week.
The President stressed the importance of providing immediate relief to those affected by the adverse weather conditions in Colombo, Gampaha, Puttalam and Kalutara. The government has already allocated 50 million rupees for relief efforts, but President Dissanayake assured that additional funds will be made available if necessary to assist those impacted. President Dissanayake also pointed out that this is the second time this year that severe floods have occurred and urged the officials to develop a long-term, sustainable plan to control frequent flooding. During the meeting, the President instructed officials to focus not only on immediate relief, but also on repairing property damage and compensating those whose properties were partially damaged during earlier floods. Key officials attending the discussion included Dr. Nandika Sanath Kumarnayake, Finance Secretary Mahinda Siriwardana, Disaster Management Ministry Additional Secretary K.G. Dharmatilaka and Meteorological Department Director General A.K. Karunanayaka.
Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath announced that the Bribery Commission has expedited action on cases of alleged corruption. The minister made this statement while addressing the Colombo-based diplomatic coups recently.
The government has already begun investigations into key corruption matters as part of its broader commitment to zero tolerance for bribery and corruption. Minister Herath emphasized that President Anurukumara Dissanayake has placed a high priority on ethical governance, the elimination of corruption and the promotion of efficiency within the public sector. The minister also reiterated that fostering a new political culture, one based on the rule of law, accountability and integrity, is essential to the administration's vision. He stated that economic success must be underpinned by these vital pillars. As investigations into key cases progress, the government remains committed to ensuring that corruption is rooted out and that the country moves forward on the path of ethical and accountable governance.
Speaking further at the event, Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath said that the government will officially make a request to join the BRICS Association in its upcoming summit, scheduled to be held later this month.
Excellencies, I have been active in the recent weeks on a number of matters on the foreign affairs front. Sri Lanka has decided to apply for the membership of the BRICS and the New Development Bank. HE President and myself, we are unable to attend the Outreach BRICS Summit to be held in Kazan, Russian Federation from 23-24 October 2024. Due to the upcoming elections, Secretary Foreign Affairs will represent Sri Lanka and place on record our request for membership. I have already addressed letters to my counterparts in the BRICS member states seeking support. We consider BRICS to be an effective partnership to realize aspiration for mutually beneficial cooperation, peace and development through strengthened and inclusive multilateralism within the framework of the UN Charter.
Stay tuned. We will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake held a virtual discussion with USAID Administrator Samantha Powell, where they explored future avenues for cooperation and discussed matters of mutual interest.
During the meeting, Power expressed USAID's willingness to align its support with the government's development plans as outlined in President Disanayake's manifesto. Power also reaffirmed USAID's readiness to assist Sri Lanka in achieving its goals, highlighting the agency's commitment to enhancing development initiatives in the country. This reflects a shared vision of fostering deeper collaboration and providing targeted assistance to drive sustainable progress in line with the government's priorities.
Sri Lanka's ambassador to Sweden, Kapila Fonseca, successfully concluded a two-day official visit to Gothenburg, Sweden, aimed at strengthening economic and trade relations between Sri Lanka and the region. The visit included high-level discussions with Swedish officials and business leaders to enhance bilateral cooperation.
During his meetings with Governor Sten Tolgfors of Vasta Gotland, Gothenburg Lord Mayor Aslan Akbaz and Regional Parliament Chair Rene Bengtsson, Ambassador Fonseca reiterated Sri Lanka's commitment to deepening ties with the region. The ambassador participated in two business roundtables organized by the Sri Lanka Honorary Consulate in Gothenburg and Sri Lanka Sweden Business Council. The roundtables brought together representatives from Business Region Gothenburg, the Chamber of Commerce in Gothenburg, and professionals from various sectors such as ICT, manufacturing and technology. These discussions identified potential areas for investment, joint ventures and expanding market access for Sri Lankan businesses in Swedish market. Ambassador Fonseca's visit also emphasized engaging with the Sri Lankan community in Gothenburg, discussing opportunities for deeper cooperation between the embassy and local Sri Lankans.
The Colombo Stock Exchange has introduced high-yield bonds offering companies with ratings below investment grade the opportunity to raise capital through bond issuance on the CSE. The Colombo Stock Exchange made this announcement in a press briefing released to the media recently.
This move marks a shift from the standard corporate bond requirements, which previously demanded a rating at least one notch above investment grade, making it challenging for lower-rated companies to access capital markets. Only certain regulated entities such as banks, non-banking financial institutions, and insurance companies are eligible to issue these high-yield bonds. This ensures that companies overseen by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka or the Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka can benefit from this initiative. Although these bonds will be listed on the CSE, trading will take place on the over-the-counter platform limited to qualified investors, those with more expertise in managing high-risk investments. These investors, like those engaged with Basel III compliant securities, can diversify their portfolios with these bonds, which offer high returns but come with increased risks.
Stay tuned. We'll return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Sri Lankan government has announced a pause on restructuring state-owned enterprises, including Sri Lankan Airlines, until after the general election on November 14th. A prominent local newspaper revealed that the previous administration's state-owned enterprises restructuring unit, tasked with divesting 130 entities, has been disbanded.
Any further restructuring decisions will now be deferred until after the election. Sri Lankan Airlines, the national carrier, is not up for sale. Further development plans will be decided in consultation with newly appointed management. Meanwhile, the transfer of Mattala International Airport into a joint venture involving India and Russia is currently pending legal clearance from the Attorney General's Department. Funding issues continue to delay major infrastructure projects including the Colombo-Ratnapura Expressway and the third and fourth phases of the Central Expressway due to the debt restructuring complications with China's Exim Bank.
Active credit cards in Sri Lanka have edged up by 0.5% or 11,293 in the first 8 months of this year, while the outstanding balance in credit cards also saw a marginal drop in the same period. Analysts claim that this is reported at a time the central bank spiked the interest rates sharply in April 2022 to fight against hyperinflation.
The number of active credit cards rose to 1,928,378 by the end of August this year from 1,917,085 by the end of last year. Active credit cards in Sri Lanka have fell nearly 2% or 35,655 in the first 8 months of last year. Analysts said Sri Lanka's economic recovery and stability have helped customers to use more credit cards than last year. The number of active credit cards fell to 1,917,336 by the end of August 2023 from 1,952,991 by the end of 2022, the central bank data showed. Some analysts said higher interest or penalty rates on credit cards also would have prompted some users to cancel their cards in the last year, and the same customers might be actively using the cards now. The central bank spiked the interest rates sharply in April 2022 to fight against hyperinflation. However, the inflation has now slowed to a deflation last month after the central bank reduced its key policy rates 6 times since June 2023.
The Sri Lanka-Indonesia Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce successfully concluded a business promotion mission to Indonesia earlier this month. As part of the visit, the Sri Lankan delegation participated in a series of business forums, expos and meetings with key stakeholders.
A highlight of the visit was the delegation's participation in Indonesia South and Central Asia Business Forum 2024 organized by Indonesia's Foreign Affairs Ministry. In collaboration with the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Jakarta, the delegation also operated a booth at INASCA, which attracted considerable attention from Indonesia's business community. Additionally, the delegates attended the 39th Trade Expo Indonesia, showcasing the country's dynamic economy and emerging industries. Productive discussions were held with the Indonesia Employees Association and the Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, aiming to further strengthen trade and business ties between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. A business networking session hosted by the Association of Sri Lankans Living in Indonesia allowed the delegation to connect with the Sri Lankan entrepreneurs based in Indonesia, fostering networking and business collaboration opportunities.
With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.